Well, fight fans, it is time. Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov made weight today, and the fight is on for tomorrow night, Saturday, October 6th. We are going to see the undefeated Khabib Nurmagomedov, the champion, current UFC lightweight champion, take on Conor McGregor, the champion who has never lost his belt, but is not technically the champion as of right now, if you don't believe what Dana White's saying. I was holding off on this video just in case to make sure everybody made weight before I made a prediction to UFC 229. And we're going to start off. I was going to do a full fight breakdown of both fighters, look at their previous fights, how it might have represented how they're going to do in this fight. I was going to do that whole thing, but you know what? I don't have enough time to do that now. To be honest, the Deontay Wilder-Tyson Fury stuff was all getting in the way of that. The Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder press conferences have been very, very exciting. If you haven't seen those, go watch them. Very, very interesting stuff there. But it's the UFC's time right now. It's the weekend of UFC 229. It's the weekend of the biggest fight in UFC history, and you can't miss this fight. If you're a fight fan, you can't miss it. You got probably the most charismatic UFC fighter of all time taking on the baddest 155er of all time, arguably the baddest 155er of all time in Khabib Nurmagomedov, and it's going to be a very, very exciting fight. And stylistically, these two matchup are complete opposites, and it's going to be awesome to see. The wrestler can win, the wrestler can grind out the striker, or the striker can hang in there and land that left hook. We all know that McGregor's the best way McGregor can end this fight is knocking him out in one of the first two rounds, and then Khabib wants to drain Conor of his energy, grapple him, hold him down, feed him some punches that are really going to annoy Conor, keep him on the ground. But for my predictions, we got to remember, Khabib Nurmagomedov, he's 26-0, but in the UFC, he's only had 10 fights. So he's won 10 UFC fights. McGregor is 9-1 in the UFC. He only lost to Nate Diaz going up to 170 pounds on extremely short notice after Rafael Dos Anjos pulled out of a fight at 155. So in 1 week, he put on 15 pounds to fight Nate Diaz, who was coming in at around 170, and Nate Diaz always stays in shape. He's a cardio machine. He can take shots, and he just wore out the champion. And then we got the media line that Conor McGregor can't handle 5-round fights, or he has cardio issues. He can't even handle 2 rounds, opposed to all 5. But I don't think that's going to be an issue with Conor if it gets to the 3rd and 4th round. I think that Khabib puts a pace on fighters that not a lot of fighters can stand up to. And if Khabib has his way with Conor, by the 3rd round he could look dead. Because all fighters that have fought Khabib, by the 3rd round they were dead. And these guys are all phenomenal athletes. They all have phenomenal cardio. But Khabib, in all of his fights, has looked to have the best cardio. Thing is, in the Michael Johnson fight, we all know this. We all have seen the fight. If you haven't seen the fight, go watch it before you make a prediction on who's going to win. Khabib was rocked by Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson got smashed by Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz completely outclassed Michael Johnson by out-punching with him. They were all striking. They're both heavy punchers. Nate Diaz doesn't throw many kicks. Johnson throws no kicks. And Nate Diaz outclassed Michael Johnson, and that led him to his McGregor fight. So if you look at the fact that Khabib got rocked in that fight, and you look at the fact that McGregor KOs people at will. He knocked out Chad Mendes. He knocked out Jose Aldo in 6 seconds. Jose Aldo was, I was doing the video, I was preparing all this. Jose Aldo was a champion for 17 years, undefeated. This was his first loss in, I think it was, not 17, that's a little bit extra. I think it was like 10 years since Jose Aldo lost the fight, and he got KO'd with a single left hand from Conor McGregor, the exact way Conor McGregor predicted it. So you got to keep that in mind, again, going against Khabib, who looks to be the same fighter as Aldo. Everybody was saying Aldo was going to beat McGregor. Everybody is going, not everybody in this fight because McGregor's proven himself, but majority of the people are leaning towards Khabib because he's 26-0 and never lost a round. I'm on the other boat. I'm taking Conor McGregor. I think Conor McGregor has the definite ability to finish Khabib. I think if he lands the left hand and shakes Khabib, this fight is over. I don't think that Khabib can handle being rocked by Conor McGregor and then staying on the feet with McGregor for much longer. If McGregor shakes up Khabib's mental, if he shakes up that brain, if he shakes up that jaw, it's all over because McGregor is one of the best strikers in the UFC, in the entire UFC, and he's got power to back up the amazing technical fighter that he is. I'm taking McGregor because on his record, the only loss I have McGregor in the UFC. Everybody gets to the, once you get to the UFC, you've proven yourself getting to the UFC. But the UFC is the big show. Bellator's coming up. I would probably compare Bellator if it was the case for this fight, but it's not. So I'm just mainly looking at the UFC. And if you look at the UFC records, McGregor has fought better competition and he's 9-1. Khabib has fought worse competition. He's 10-0. So you can't really look at the records that much because they're both dominant fighters. I think McGregor starches him, KOs him in the first round. I think it's going to be about 2 minutes in. If Conor stands with him for 25 seconds, I think it's over. I think if Khabib lets Conor stand with him for 25 seconds at any point in this fight, it's going to be all over. Khabib's going to be KO'd. And that would be massive for McGregor. So I'm taking McGregor in that fight for the reasons that I said. But I just wanted to go into what happens if McGregor wins, because I think this was what the UFC might want to do going into the McGregor. They've announced the main event for UFC 230 at MSG. Main event that's pissed a lot of people off. It's a shitty main event. It got rid of Shevchenko Joanna at the card that I'm going to in Toronto. I live very close to Toronto. I'm happy I'm going to get to go see Max Holloway versus Brian Ortega. But we're all disappointed that we lost Joanna versus Shevchenko for that 115 vacant title. And we got Eubanks, who, if you don't even know, Joe Rogan, I'll play him now.
Title.
No offense, but I don't even know who Sijara Eubanks is, and I'm the commentator for the UFC.
Joe Rogan doesn't even know who this girl is. So what I would have done is I would have made the 165-pound strap. I honestly would have waited for McGregor to win, because if Khabib wins, I'm putting him against Tony Ferguson. That's the next fight for Khabib, because that fight would be exciting. And then even seeing Khabib take on Nate Diaz at 155. That's an exciting fight, because they're going to try and go at him on the ground. Khabib's going to take those guys down, but then on the ground, you never know what's going to happen. Nate Diaz is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and then Tony Ferguson, he's a black belt too, I believe, and he's just crazy on the ground. That guy's a crazy fighter. I love watching Tony Ferguson fight. It's kind of like McGregor. When McGregor's standing up, Tony Ferguson, unorthodox style, is just that much fun to watch. So I would want to see that if Khabib wins. But if Conor wins, it's all about gold with Conor. It's all about championships. How can you get him those championships? How can he break the most records? Because that's what the UFC wants to do, to attract casual fans. The more you put belts on a guy, the more they grow the sport. So what they would do, if, in my opinion, would make the Diaz-Porier fight for 165, the 165-pound belt. Then you make Conor, if he beats Khabib, move up to fight the champion of that division. Because you all know, anybody in their right mind in the UFC wants to fight Conor McGregor. He's the biggest fighter in the UFC. If he beats Khabib, he's the biggest star in sports, maybe. Next to LeBron James, I couldn't name a better, more clear face of sports. So you would want to put him in a match for that 165-pound strap, and then you could even get rid of it. After Conor wins it, maybe make a match with GSP, biggest fight in UFC history. This is the biggest fight in UFC history. I think that if they put Conor, Nate, for the 165-pound belt, that's the next biggest fight in history. And then if you do Conor, GSP, that's the next biggest fight in history. And that's what the UFC wants. They want big fights. Now, that's a crazy idea. The UFC, it's most likely not going to happen, but that would be my 2 cents on it. That's how I would input if I was matchmaking for the UFC. That's what I would want to do. That's my prediction. I'm going to do another separate video for Tony Ferguson and Anthony Pettis. So make sure to look at my channel. It's probably going to come out after this one. So be ready to look at that. It might come out tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're looking forward to UFC 229, drop a like on the video. If you're watching in the day, have a great day. If you're watching at night, have a great night. And let's all enjoy Saturday night UFC 229 live at live at the Staples Center in Los Angeles, I think. Las Vegas, where the fuck are they fighting? I don't know. Big fight, big stipulations, lots of shit going to come out of it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out. Enjoy.